Hi, I'm Katie Brown. I am interning this summer with the Wave Foundation at the Newport Aquarium. I'm a volunteer office assistant intern, so I do a lot of volunteer resources, activities, which closely relate to my major of being on the human resources track of organizational leadership. It is my third year, and I will be graduating this June. Why do I keep doing that? So a little bit about the Wave Foundation at the Newport Aquarium. They're the nonprofit arm of the Newport Aquarium. Our office is inside of the aquarium, which is really cool to go there every day and just be a part of that atmosphere. They do the education. They have an education department. They have the volunteer resources office, and that's pretty much all they have. They have about 7 full-time staff members there, so it's small, but they serve over 350 volunteers, which is a lot to keep track of. Some of my responsibilities: I have learned how to use the Volgistics database, which is where we keep track of our 350 volunteers. Most of them are summer naturalists, which are teenagers ages 14 to 17, and the other bulk of volunteers are divers. All of the divers at the aquarium are volunteer divers, except Scuba Santa. He's the only one that gets paid. I also was a big help with their new fundraising program called Live at the Levee. It kind of got thrown on my supervisor's desk. So the very first Thursday that I came in for my internship, it was the first night of Live at the Levee, which is a free concert series that was done 8 weeks over the summer. And she's like, "Here, we're going to do this today." So I was running different things to the empty IMAX theater, and I did that for 8 weeks straight. So I helped her with like half of her work in that aspect. Even though she's not the development manager, she still played a role in the fundraising for the Wave Foundation itself. I have been in charge of recognition program at the Wave volunteer office is very big. They give tickets out for however many volunteer hours that you put in every month, and that's distributed quarterly. So this is the end of our quarter. So I'm helping with ticket distribution. I'm also helping with volunteer recognition with they have little animals on their name tags, so when they do something good and they make a guest feel really welcome at the aquarium, I'm helping distribute that. I'm also in charge now of volunteer orientation every Saturday. So I am at the aquarium from 9 to 3 on every Saturday, and I do volunteer orientation, which is the same orientation that the Newport Aquarium staff has. So I give them a tour downstairs in the backstage special tour, and I basically explain to them what their expectations are and what some of the perks of volunteering are. I'm also going to start doing interviews for interns and volunteers. I'm going to interview the interns that want to have an internship at the Wave Foundation. I'm partnering with the UC office, so that's really cool. I also shadowed the HR director of the Newport Aquarium to see and kind of compare how a nonprofit and a for-profit HR department, just see the differences and the similarities, which there are more similarities than differences. The only difference is really tax forms and money. So I also assisted with the mid-year survey that's going to go out soon, as soon as it gets board approval. So the big part of the Academic Internship Program is taking classes while you're on the internship, so it's a lot easier to just relate things to what you're learning and what you're doing at work. And this summer I'm taking a ethics and employment class and an organizational behavior class, which are 2 core classes for my major. So with ethics in mind, I get to see where ethics plays a role in the human resources aspect of things, which it's majorly confidentiality, since I am exposed to personnel files and HIPAA files and all of the information, applications, and just plugging that data into Volgistics. That's a big issue of confidentiality. Whatever stays in this room, whatever said in this room stays in this room kind of thing. Like, you don't discuss personal information, obviously. So that was a link to my class. And also in my organizational behavior class, we've been learning a lot about the hierarchies, interviewing stereotypes, and also something we discussed is personality type assessments in the workplace and how they relate. So that was an interesting thing to see if the aquarium or WAVE did any personality assessments, and I'll talk about that in a later slide. So when the first couple of weeks I was at the aquarium, I walked down the administrative hallway to the break room and go to the office. And so I noticed that there's these two large framed plaques on the wall, and that one said the disc profile, and then there were the results of all of the employees from WAVE and the aquarium and their disc profile results. So they posted these so everyone can see them. So if your personality type is a perfectionist, everyone knows you are a perfectionist according to the disc profile. And on the other page, it basically told you the breakdown, if you're a perfectionist, this is how you communicate, and this is what you do, and these are good things and bad things. And so it was just all out in the open, and I was just really fascinated that someone would just post this, just public knowledge. So I asked my supervisor about it, and I was like, so what's the purpose of this? Why did they do it? What do you feel about it? And she, basically it was done for fun. Imagine that. And she said it was a good tool to communicate with others, because there are so many different departments. You've got engineering and husbandry, and then you have the education department and the volunteer office. So you have a bunch of different personalities in the same place, very closely related, working together on a daily basis as you would with any other company. So it's helpful to know who is what and what their communication style is, so you can get things done better, which makes sense. And I was also curious to see if they did any personality assessments upon hiring an individual. And when I shadowed the HR director for the aquarium, I asked her the same question, and she said that they do, but it's very expensive, and it's ordered done by corporate. And so that only gets you, if you apply for an executive position or administrative position, something way higher up than a frontline cast member, then that's when they do a personality assessment. So it was just very interesting to take what I was seeing on my internship on a daily basis and relating it back to what I was learning in the classroom, back out of my textbook, and putting it all together and formulating kind of my own opinions and what I thought about it. Some of my acquired skills, I learned how to logistics database, which is something I can put on my resume and say that I know how to do this. It's not hard, but it is just a system to familiarize yourself with, because almost everywhere in an HR department has some sort of database that you plug in personal information into, so it's helpful to know how to use it. I also learned that not everyone knows as much about technology as a college student does, which is something that we don't really think about on just a daily basis, because when they tell you to format this Word document, they're expecting you to get it done in a half an hour, but when you get it done in 10 minutes, they're like, how did you do that? And so it's kind of it's a new experience, because in class you're with 20 other college students and they can all do the same thing that you can. But when you're out in the workplace, not everyone can do the same thing that you can, and you can teach other people and be like, here, this is how you can do this in 5 minutes as opposed to 25 minutes. And it makes their day easier, and it makes you look really good sometimes too. I also gained a lot of knowledge about the nonprofit sector of organizations and how they work with in a for-profit organization and how they work alone. Just kind of how everyone wears many different hats, and you can be asked to do something that you're not qualified to do or that you aren't comfortable doing, but it has to get done, so no one else is going to do it, so you have to. It's just kind of how it works. I also learned about development, even though I wasn't working in the development office of WAVE, with fundraising and how organizing things there is very interesting. I got thrown into the company culture, which is interesting to observe. I attended a committee meeting for the fundraiser for WAVE called Naughty Night, short for Nautical Night, and it's in October, and essentially all of these committee members were not members of WAVE, and they were not regular volunteers. They were just people that the executive director knew, and those people that she knew other people who had lots of money to give to WAVE. So it was just interesting to see how when you're in a nonprofit, networking is extremely important and even more important than it is in another professional field. I also got a lot of experience being more confident and being more professional in my communication, just stepping outside of the classroom and being in the real world for about 10 hours a week works wonders on professionalism and confidence. So this internship has really solidified my future goals and what I want to accomplish with my major. I am seeking a master's degree when I finish this year. However, if some amazing job falls out of the sky, that might take a back seat for a couple of years. I kind of reiterated that I do want to go into nonprofit work and I want to be a volunteer coordinator or a recruiter because I really enjoy doing training and orientation. So it just really solidified my career path. I also am one of the organizational leadership students that Zach was talking about previously who received major credit for this internship. So totally I'm getting 9 credit hours out of this internship that I'm doing. I'm getting credit for a training and development course, which is a core course for my major, and I'm working with Dr. Holloway really closely on getting credit for that.